I definitely was interested in the topic. Definitely watched a lot of documentaries, researched a lot about it. And of course, when the occasion came to actually get something on video, I went in to get my iPad immediately. And I stood out there for a good 15 minutes. Well, I was basically smoking a cigarette right outside my apartment, which is located on the beach out in Saint Martin, French island in the Caribbean. And as I'm smoking, I see this, what looks like a ball of energy or whatever it could be, switching shapes and just not looking natural at all. So I decided to go inside and get my iPad, started filming, and as I filmed, it just started becoming more and more intense. As you can tell, I'm shaking a lot. It's actually pretty difficult holding the iPad. And from the place I was at originally, it just, the angle was not right. So I took a walk down the beach, because, the beach was like a minute from my apartment, and started filming from the sand, which is why you see me actually film down to be able to tell the distance from the shore. And yeah, this thing just kept switching colors and shapes, and it's not that evident on the video, but I tried to get as close as I could with it, and that was the result. I only had about 40 seconds worth of footage. Well, actually, I had more footage than that. I just decided to upload that one. I filmed quite a few videos, and yeah, that video was the one to me that really gave that was able to determine where I was, how far off the ground. It's not the best of videos, but you can clearly see that thing is changing shapes, colors, and that it's not a star. Just from the changing shapes, stars don't change shapes. There is no stars in the sky. You can basically look at that, and that's the only thing shining out there. Now you have to keep in mind that I was filming very, very low compared to the shore. If I aimed my iPad straight up, then yes, we definitely would have seen some stars. We see a lot of those out in the Caribbean, despite all the clouds. But as you can tell, I'm not filming at 12 o'clock. It's more like, it looks like I'm filming like, I don't know, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. But yeah, I'm positive it's not a boat or a star, simply because of the angle in which I'm filming and the way it's changing shapes, and you can't really tell in the video, but it's actually very, very close to the ground. It's got to be 100 feet or less above the ground. Um, I don't really know what I'm looking at, but just the fact that it's changing shapes and changing colors, and not really sure what that is. I've read up about something about balls of energy that sometimes stay in the atmosphere, but I don't know. It really doesn't feel like it's far out there. It's always windy. The Caribbean has that trade wind year round, so it's extremely windy, and you can hear the wind blow. Which didn't help with the filming. It wasn't very good. This is an ocean front. Obviously it's on the ocean, and yeah, it wasn't easy to film because of the wind. When I was out in St. Martin, which was not on film, unfortunately, but I was basically swimming around 4 a.m. With this Australian girl. Her and I were just swimming, taking a night bath, and we could see lights on the horizon. Some pretty strong lights, and we just really weren't sure what it was. It was really far away, and we kind of laughed at it, and really weren't too sure what it was, boats, or we didn't know what it was. And then within like 30 minutes, we decided to get out, and we basically walked up to my car in the parking lot. And that's when we realized that these lights, if most likely had something to do with it, were actually right above our heads, like literally like 40 to 50 feet above our heads. And I'm talking about four UFOs, obviously the best way to call them. Like two big ships, two small ships. It was like one big one and a small one right next to it, and then like maybe 10 feet further, another big one and another small one right next to it. Absolutely zero sound coming out of those objects. None, absolutely none. The shape of the flying objects were definitely roundish, like a plate. And then it just seems like all around the circumference of the UFO, there was just so many different colors and flashing back and forth between one another. There's some sort of a light game going on between like between the ships, like sending out lights to one side, sending out lights to the other, and back. And they were so close to us that we could literally throw a tennis ball and hit it. And I remember thinking to myself, and I actually did this. I actually went out there and said, "Take me, take me." But at that point, the most important thing that came to my mind was, I gotta film this. But I couldn't because I didn't have a phone, and the girl I was with didn't have a phone either. So I asked her not to move, and I started looking around for anyone that could film this thing. So I'm basically running around, looking for someone, and the only person I came up on were two security guards that happened to be on the night watch. So I started telling them what was going on. They were laughing at me and cursing in Creole. The expression was "Punya maman," which I'm not going to translate. But I finally convinced them to come and, take a look, and they did. So we walked over, and I just remember them laughing and making fun of me. And then when we got there, they realized I wasn't kidding. So at that point, they started acting extremely surprised. And, now it's four of us, me, this girl, two security guards. And these things are just hovering over our heads. The best way I could describe it would be that it kind of like looking at the sun. You can stare at it, but not so well. This was something very similar was going on here. You could look at it, but you kind of had to not stare at it too much because it would blind you. And they were there for a good 15, 20 minutes. Turns out when they started to, fly away, one of the security guards decided to get in his car and chase it, which he did. He basically lost him behind the mountains. I actually know this information because I went back to speak to the guards, ran into one of them, and at this point I had my roommate with me who believed me, but not 100%, was wondering if maybe I was on something or maybe I exaggerated, and he came with me. And when we ran into the guard, I asked him, "Hey, do you mind telling my buddy here, what took place that night?" And he started becoming very suspicious. He was just, he didn't want me to talk about it. He didn't want us to talk about it. He's telling me that, it's dangerous, that we shouldn't talk about this around us. And so my roommate looks at me and says, "Oh, you weren't kidding, were you?" And, that's when I said, no, I was not kidding. This really took place. If I was able to release the video, I think there would be a lot of people talking about using special effects and things of that sort, things of that nature, because this was unreal. People talk about, you were high, you took some shit, and no, at that time, we had drank a little bit, but it was, you don't see things in the sky when you drank, and you just don't. This was exceptional. This was something completely out of this world. And the fact that there was me and then this girl and two security guards and, even myself, as I came back to speak with that guard a few days later, I know what I saw, but I still want to talk to him again so he can, reconfirm what I saw. It's so insane that you actually want someone to confirm what you just saw. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, just that whole night really changed my life. It canceled out any doubts about the UFO world and all the stuff you can hear. I know there's a lot of bullshit out there, but this clearly put things into perspective. So this is Saint Martin Island, French Caribbean, westward, French Caribbean. So Saint Martin is a half French, half Dutch island owned by both countries, separated by an invisible border. I was on the Dutch side of Saint Martin, which is right at the border. It's called Oyster Bay. Oyster Bay, it's between the Westin Resort and the Oyster Bay Resort, a restaurant called Busby's. I happen to work right by there as well, so I'm pretty familiar with the area. I moved to St. Martin originally because I am, when I was 18 years old, I moved to Guadeloupe, which is also a French island, and really enjoyed the Caribbean life and the surfing. And I found myself to be in France, and then met a French girlfriend, and was thinking maybe that would be the best place for us to go, would be a half French, half Dutch island, which is really very Americanized. So I just felt like it was a very good place to surf, live a laid-back life, speak English and French at the same time. That's how I decided to go to St. Martin. And St. Martin has had quite a few disturbances of that sort. The place where I actually filmed the Lightball, which is called Mont Vernon, which is actually on the French side where I live, had quite a few sightings. And lots of phone calls were made to the gendarmerie, which is the military police on St. Martin. Now I can tell you because, from being a very small island, there's no secrets on there. And, you basically just run into everybody every day. You just know the police. And, when you talk to them and you ask them about it, they would tell you they're out of range. There's nothing we can do about it. And this is the answer that they had to give several times from people calling into my residence. And yeah, that's pretty shocking to hear. When I found out that I wasn't the only one seeing this, and that many people had called, and that every single time they were turned down as far as sending out any kind of unit or any kind of witness, nothing, just absolutely nothing. Like I said, everybody knows everybody, so nothing goes unknown, unheard, and I don't know why. It just really felt like they were here for us. I mean, I can't say 100%, but it certainly felt like it. I started thinking, why is this happening to me? It's kind of, especially for someone who has interest in the topic, for it to happen to him, it's like, wow, who's gonna believe me now? Like, I know everybody's already laughing at, my interest in this, and then it happens to me. So, and then I go back thinking of that night, and I'm thinking, I probably did the worst thing possible. My first reaction was to call the police, get some sort of video, and then I'm thinking, this is probably the last thing that you should do. If for any reason you're trying to come into contact and I'm trying to call the police, that's just the dumbest thing possible. Yeah, the second experience was so intense. There isn't a single authentic video on YouTube that could match up to it if I was able to film that. What it did for me is it actually canceled out my interest in UFO world. I'm not gonna say canceled out my interest, but I just felt like I didn't need any more proof. And watching videos and documentaries and testimonials and things like that. In the end, at the end of the day, you're doing all this to try to get as much information as possible, so you can really make a decision. Is this real? Is it not? And once you experience something like that, as far as talking about me, I just feel like I don't need to anymore. Actually, that was the day that I stopped looking at documentaries and going out and trying to film. So I just didn't feel the need to anymore. I was so convinced, 100%, that there's something there. I just didn't need to go any further after that.
UCKYA